Hi, I'm Paul Seal from CodeShare.co.uk. Welcome to episode 9 in this series, where I show you how to build a website with Umbraco V8. In the last couple of episodes, we've concentrated on the header and the footer. And in this episode, what we're going to do is populate this latest news feed and also the news on the blog section as well for listing out these articles. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do it towards how we did it on the starter kit that I did, the clean blog starter kit. So if you want to cheat and not build all of this, you could just install the clean blog starter kit from within Umbraco packages. The only thing is that this series that I'm doing will take it a bit further and add extra things on here and there. But if you want to look at the code, it's also on GitHub as well, the clean blog starter kit is. So let's get started then. So what we need to do is go into the solution, and we're just going to have a look in here. Now what we've got is, whilst I'm looking in here, I'm noticing that I've got a couple of files that aren't included, so I may as well include these at the moment. So right click, include in project, and let's see. So we do have a latest articles partial, so we already divided it up into a partial, but this is just hard coded in. So we want to actually read what the articles are, loop through them, and render them out onto the screen. So one of the first things to do then would be to get the articles. Now I've been looking at the performance of different ways to query in Umbraco, especially in version 8 now, and one of the fastest ways to get content from Umbraco V8 is to use link and descendants. So if we're going to get these articles that are inside Umbraco, what we need to do first of all then is get all the descendants of the home page, basically. So we do var articles equals model, so model being the current iPublish content, dot root, that will take you up to the top level, so that will actually do a call to ancestor or self1, which is home. So within the scope of this site, then we want to do descendants, and with that descendants we want to just say anything that is using the article class. Oops. So this is using models builder, so we're doing it like that with with article. You could, if you wanted to, you could put in like this. You could do dot where, and then x goes to x dot content type dot alias equals article. I'm going to leave that in there, but just to remind you what we did for, if you're using models builder, you can do it like this. It's good to know. I think it's good to know both ways. So that's if you're using models builder. I'm just going to do it like this without using models builder, and so I'm saying where the content type alias is article, and we can also say where it is visible. So that's the Umbraco Navi hide special magic property. Basically the call to is visible checks that to see if it's been hidden or not. So there we have our articles. So in theory that will return us all articles. We'll want to order by descending, and in there we'll just do y goes to y dot value. Again, actually, let's just undo what I just said about the models builder thing. Let's use the benefit of models builder here, and because we're going to return them back as an article, we should be able to do this dot where x goes to x dot is visible, and x dot, and then what we want to do is check the article date. Do it like this. So order by descending y goes to y, and then dot article date. So we're basically going to ask it to order it descending by the article date property, and again it is just not happy with this, with the IntelliSense for this article, because we don't have it added to our solution. As if you were using Models Builder API mode, you'd be able to get the proper IntelliSense from it. There might be a way to do it to make it so you can see the IntelliSense, but every time I try it, it complains that I've got duplicate models or something like that. So we can ignore that. But if we just go into app data and we go to models and go to all generated, I think, or is it models.generated, and we have a look at article, we can see the property name. So we've got on here article date. If we search for article date, so we're using this property basically. So what we're saying is in our query, articles where it's visible, and then order by descending article date. That's the first thing. Let's see if that falls over first of all. So the blog page should, I think, be calling this. If we just go to article list, and it does call latest articles. So let's have a look. It didn't fall over, so it obviously does like that. So then the next stage in this of us transitioning to using this is we can just do an if. So at if articles is not equal to null and articles.any. Now ReSharper will moan at me for multiple iterations, but because of the size of the data set that we're iterating over, it's not going to be a problem. I did try and put some work in to do with something similar that I'm doing for work, and I ended up creating more problems because again ReSharper was saying you don't need to check for null, it's definitely not going to be null, and then it turned out it was null, and I got tripped up by that. So I don't trust ReSharper on everything. Anyway, so what we've got here is we've got the hard-coded version of what we want to achieve. So in theory, right, we've got our articles. So what we can do is we'll just find the bit where that's the outer container. So each of these is basically a repetition and followed by an HR. So what we can do is we can, inside here, we can do an at for each and then do var article in articles. So for every article type in there, and then what we want to do, again, we've got the benefit of using Models Builder here, so we can just call out the properties. So we have the post title. So we've got the post title, and what we can do is, actually, let's have a look how we did that on the page header. We did model has value title, and then title otherwise name. So we could do that again. Let's just do that again because we want to fall back to that. You could just do it like this. We could just do article.title with an at in front of it because we're using Models Builder like that. We could do, but the only problem with that is, and actually let's just give it this class so it knows about it. Oh no, doesn't like it. We'll leave it as var. The only problem with that is that we want to fall back to name if it's not. So I'm just going to put it in like that. So change at model to be article. If it's got the title, then it will be article.title, otherwise article.name. And then we want to just wrap this in rounded brackets. There we go. So if the article's got a value of title, then use it, otherwise use the name. And then we've got a subtitle. So do we use a subtitle on the page header? Subtitle, if it, again, it's the same idea. If it's got one, use it. If not, so I mean, the other way we could do it is to just go if not string dot is null or white space article dot subtitle, and then do it like that, and that way then we can just say article dot subtitle. And then actually, if we go back to this, we could do the same thing really. We could just do this, we could just, and we can keep using models builder. So article.subtitle, dot title is not null or white space. Then article.title, otherwise article.name. So that's our title, our subtitle. Just get rid of that extra rogue colon there. So we've got the title, the subtitle, trying to keep with using models builder here. And then we've got posted by. Now we've done posted by before in the page header, I believe. So let's just see how we did this posted by. So actually we can just copy this because it's the same logic. So copy it from what we did on the page header. So if it's not null or white space, so article.author name, then article.author name, and the date, article date to string. In theory, that should work. And we'll move this HR to be under every article. And what we can do with these other previews of posts is just remove them. So let's see what that does. So we'll go back to the page, refresh. So we might have errors. We might need to fix some things here, but on the face of it, it should be okay. And it was. So we've got test article, something interesting to read posted on that. So let's have a look in the content in the back end. So we're going to blog section. We've got test article. So pulled through the title, pulled through the name there. And we can change a different title here. So if we save and publish that, we should see that the title that got pulled through there changes. Now that's good. Something interesting to read is the subtitle, and so on. And then we don't have the URL wired up. So if you look in the bottom left corner, you can see that it's going to the hard-coded URL. So let's wire that up next. So the URL that it wants to go to is in the A there. So what we want to do is we want to do @article.url. So that will click through to the article. And save that and then refresh it. So this will give us the articles rendered out properly with a link through to read the article, and there you have it. So that's okay, but we will also need to sort out paging when there are multiple articles and things like that. So quick way to to get lots of articles. Now, first before I do that is we've got this set up with the tree view, the blog page, but actually we're expecting to have many blog items. So what we want to do is edit the blog document type. So if we click on the blog page, go to info, and on document type, click on open. That opens it out with the infinite editor. And we'll go to list view, and then we'll enable list view, and then save and close. And then we can reload this. So if we right click, I think, where's reload? Oh, we can reload the whole tree. Let's just go through to here. Now it's a list view. So when you're using the list view, you see the items like this, or you can change the list view to see the items going down in the list. And the reason why I wanted to do this is because I want to click on the icon for it, and then I want to do a copy. And then I want to put it back in the blog section. So that has copied that item, and then if we do a reload, should be able to do a reload from here. Why can't you do a reload? You used to be able to do a reload. Anyway, so now we have it. So then, because I've done it like that, I can just copy both of those at the same time because I'm using the list view. And then I can just pick blog again, submit. So I'm going to do this now until I get to about 10 or 16 or something like that. Clear selection, reload the page annoyingly. But again, I can click this up here and that will select all 4, do a copy again, and then pick blog, submit, and then clear selection, refresh. So now we should see 8. I'll do it one more time so we've got 16 items. Select all, copy, pick blog, submit. Right, and that's copied them all. Now what I want to do is I want to publish this. So if I go into, I've clicked on blog, I go into actions, and then I want to do publish with children. Oh, actually, I need to go to content for the blog page, and then I want to do publish with descendants, include drafts, publish with descendants. So now that's going to make all of the items that were under there all published. So if we refresh this page, and you can see that they're all published articles now. So then when we go to this page here and we refresh, you'll find that we have all 16 of those listed out on the page with no paging. And the other thing down here as well is we've got the link to the blog section. That's to read all the articles. I'm just going to close that model file, otherwise it will keep coming back to me saying that. So we hard coded in blog. What we can do here is we can just get the blog page. So if we do var article list equals model dot root dot descendants, and then of the type article list dot first or default, and then we can use that here. And as those articles are all under that, we could in theory put this first, and instead of using model root dot descendants, we could do article list. In theory this should work, so let's just see. So we set that article list URL, so that will go through to blog section, and the articles are going to come from this. So let's just see if it works. It might cause an error, it might not. So yes, it does work, so that's good. Nothing to debug there. So now we've got our article list, we've got our articles, and we want to add a bit of paging to it. So, and actually on the first page, what we want to do is, if you're using this on the home page or anything that's not the article list page, then we'll want it to just be like the first 3 articles. And then if we're using it on the actual article list page, we want to add the paging in. So what we can do then is we can add this in at the top. So we can put in, later in the series, by the way, I'll show you how to move all of this sort of logic into a service so that it's not all defined at the top of your partial view. But this is just a quick way in whilst you're getting used to Umbraco. We write the code in the top here, but yes, it's a good idea to move this out into a separate class that you can then call. So first of all, what we want to do is say, is this the article list page? And the way that we define that is if article list dot id, if it equals model dot id. So that tells us if it's the article list page or not. What's it complaining about now? Let's just refresh the page. I really would prefer not to use Models Builder. It's fine, it's not complaining. I mean, yeah, I just don't like Models Builder. Sorry. I do like it, it's good, but I prefer to just get to the values myself. Is the article list page right? And then what we want to do is set a fallback page size. and then we're basically going to say article is article list. So if it is article list page, then the page size is going to be 10. Otherwise, it's going to be 3. And these sorts of things you might want to put in your settings, in a document type or something like that, maybe in the config file. But for now, we're just defining it at the top of this view. And then, so good. What usually happens with paging and things like that is you get it from the query string. But for now, what we're going to do is we're just going to leave it like that. And what we want to do is return just a certain amount of articles. So we want to get a page of articles. So var page of articles equals articles dot. Now we want to know what page number we're on. So first of all, actually, we'll just do var page number equals 1. And then we want to say, so we know how, and the page size, var page size equals, because we're not going to use a query string just yet, we'll introduce that after. We're just going to say it equals whatever the fallback page size is. So that fallback page size variable is there if you can't read it from the query string. So we've got the page size, and we've got the page number. So we've got the articles, and we want to say return just a page of articles. So var page of articles equals, and then we're going to say articles dot skip. So the amount we need to skip is going to be the page number minus 1 multiplied by the size. So if you're on page 1, you don't want to skip any, so it'll be 0 times the size. If you're on page 2, you want to skip 2 minus 1, which is 1 times the page size. So we'll do page size there. So we're going to skip this many from the list, and then we're going to take page size. So now we have a page of articles. So instead of looping through all the articles, we can just loop through a page of articles. So we can swap out the variable of articles in here with page of articles. So now we're just going to return back a page of 10 articles if it's on the article list page, and if it's on the home page, it will just return back 3. So let's refresh this and have a look. Here we go. So let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we've got 10. That's good. That's worked out well. And on the home page, we should see 3. 1, 2, 3. So that again is working well. So next thing we want to do then is, let me just have a look and see what I did on here. So we want to add a bit of paging in, so that we want some markup for paging. So in the template, there is some markup for paging. So if we just have a look and go to it. So if we go to, is it in the index? All right, we do have pager there, but it just says older posts. Anyway, I think I found it. So what I did, I went through the markup from the template theme that we downloaded, and I got it. So what we'll do is I'm going to lift what I've done on the starter kit. I'll lift that and explain what I've done there, and we can go through it and build it up. So if we go back to latest articles, and then here where it's got the pager, instead of that, what we want to do is do a check. So we want to check to see, are we on the list page or not? First of all, if we're on the list page, then we'll show the paging. If we're not on the list page, we'll show a link to the list page. So that's what we'll do first of all. So we've got this here, is article list page. Let me just delete this one off here. So if we go back up here for let's just go through what I just copied and pasted from GitHub. So paging is article list page, so we already have that variable defined. Page count, now we don't have the page count done yet. So the way to work out the page count is we'll just define it up here. So we need to do var total item count, and we need to say that it equals articles dot count. And then page count equals total item count greater than 0. So if it's greater than 0, just so we don't get a 0 divided by 0 error, then we need to do this math.ceiling. So math.ceiling, and then we're going to convert the total item count to a double. So we're going to say that divided by the page size. And if not, the page count is 1. So yeah, we are dividing the total items by the page size. We're using math.ceiling to go up to the next one, and we're casting it to a double so we get the decimal rather than just an integer, because that would bring us back down to the lower one again if we didn't get the decimal. So we've got now the total item count. So let's go back to here. So we've got the page count because we've just created that. So if it's greater than page 1, then we want to show the paging, and if it's the article list page and it's greater than page 1. If it's not the article list page, then we'll show that link again to the article list page. And what I've done here is I've already got a dictionary value. I don't believe I already had a dictionary value before I did the paste. Let me just have a look. Just going to undo a little just so I can see what it was before I pasted this in. Right, so we just had it as older posts. Okay. Let's just remove that for now. Well, we'll leave that in. Okay, we'll leave it in. Right. And then this part here, then this is the paging block. So if it is greater than page 1, then we need to do some paging arrows to move next and previous and things like that. So this one will be the left arrow. So we've got an A with a class of float. We've got an A with an icon, have we? Oh, we just got the word previous. So we're using a dictionary to say previous. So actually what I'm going to do is just hard code it in. We can go through sorting out dictionary items later, I think. And I'll do next in here. So we've got the page count and we've got the word of. We've got a dictionary value for that. And we've got the word page. So let's just simplify it down again. So if it's greater than page 1, then we will put this in here. Otherwise, we'll just do a non-breaking space. Then we've got this little block here, which is just going to do the page numbering to say page number of page count. And then we've got this block here for the next. So it might be a case that you just pause this and copy and paste it. But if you look at this, we've got a page query string. So we've got query page equals and then page number -1 and size equals page size. And this one is page number +1 and size equals page size. So just make sure that you've had a chance to see that and pause it on the right bit if you want to copy and paste that. So in theory that should work for us. So if we go back to the front of here, so then on this home page what we'll see is the same as what we've got now. We've got the older posts. We don't have the title actually written in anymore. So let me just put older posts. Oh, actually I like to say view all and then refresh that. So the view all is going to show when you're using it on the home page or any other page that's not the list page. Then we'll get here, it says page 1 of 2, and then we've got a next button. Click next, and it's not wired up to actually know what the page number is yet. So what we need to do next is we need to create a little helper that will help read from the query string to tell us what the page number is and the page size. So if we go into our solution, we've got a cleanblog.core, and we want to add a folder called helpers. And in here we want to add a class, and we want to call this a query string helper. If you can type it. And then what we want to do is we want to make this a public static class so that we can use it at any point without instantiating it. And then we're going to have a method on there that's going to return an int from the query string. So it's going to be called getInt from query string. It's going to use the HTTP request base for working with the cookies. Not cookies, sorry, for working with the query string and the request. So then string key, so that's the key from the query string, and then the fallback value. So this is going back to what we set up inside the top of the view. We set up a fallback value. This, you can pass in a fallback value, so that's what we'll be passing in when we use this. So we'll say var string value, so whatever the string value is of this query string item equals request dot query string, and then we'll pass in the key into that. So that's the string value of it. And then what we want to say is if the string value isn't null, and also it's not is null or white space, and it's parsable, so and we can pass it to be an integer, and then we just say out var numeric value. Then in here we can just return the numeric value, and then otherwise return the fallback value. So that's why when we pass in a 10, we try and get the page size, but we'll just return that back otherwise. So this is complaining. Argument 2 may not be passed with the out keyword. So in the, I needed to do it as a try parse, not just a parse. That's what it was. So when I'm trying to parse it, if it can, it creates it into this variable, and I'm just returning that variable. And otherwise, it's going to fail that if statement anyway, and then it will return back the fallback value. And just remove and sort those usings. So all we needed to use was using system.web. Using system.web. Right, so that's our helper. And we need to go into our view, the latest articles view. And what we want to do at the top of this is to tell it to get the page size from there. So instead of using fallback size, so we can do query string helper, and it'll say the one from cleanblog.core.helpers. So you say yes. So that's added the using statement there, using cleanblog.core.helpers. So right, so you want to use that, and you want to get int from query string. So the request is just passing the request object, and then you also pass in the name of it. So for this one, it's just going to be size is the query string name, and then the fallback value is going to be the fallback page size that we already defined. And we do the same for page number, but instead of passing in a fallback value variable, we'll just say 1. So here we do 1, and we just do page. Now it's important to note that this page query string name and size here is the same as those that we've added to our buttons for going next and previous. Page and size. So now the page number and page size are wired up. So if we save all that, do a build and rebuild, because we need to do the rebuild because we changed the file in the class project, the class library project. Because when we do a save on these views, we don't actually have to do a build. But if you're doing it in a compiled class library, then you do have to do a build. So let's refresh that now. So at the moment, the query string is set to page 2. So what we should see here is that we're on page 2 and there'll be 6 items showing when it loads. Yep, we're on page 2 and we see the previous button. Click on previous, that will say we're on page 1, 1 of 2, and then we have it next and previous. So that's how you do the article list and the paging. I hope that's helped you out. And one other thing before we go on, actually, before I do all that, I just want to say thank you to people that have bought me a coffee. I've really appreciated that. I was at the Umbraco UK festival last week, and 1 or 2 people bought me a coffee from watching the videos. And I bought myself a pint here or there, and just thought this is on John or Dave. So yeah, thank you everybody who has done that. Before we do wrap up, if we just go back, when we did the content block, so I think it was on this content page here, page content, what we can do, instead of it just being on the content page, we can actually copy that and paste it to where we hard coded it on the article page. So instead of the article page being hard coded in now, it can actually just use the get grid HTML thing that we did on previous episodes. And same with the error page actually. And anything else? So I think that's it. So now if we were to go back and we go into the article that we have just listed out on the page, you'll be able to see that we have an error. All right, so it can't see this. So because I've pasted that in, so this is a good opportunity to see that with me just pasting that in, I didn't pass in the using because we created this one as an extension method to help us with the fluid images. Now we can use that using at the top there. So I'll put that in the error one and I'll put that in the top of the article one as well. And I'll refresh this page. And fingers crossed, it should just work. So we don't have any content on this. Let's log back in again. And then just put something in. So which one is this? Oh, we don't know which one it is. Let's just say it's this one. Just put some content in. And pick an image. The only image that we have, the cat. Save and publish that. And we click on info and we can go through to the article. There we go. Yeah, so that's the article also wired up now with the grid. You might have been wondering why that wasn't working, and at the end of the episode I should have said to go to all the places that use it, add the using and put it in, but I didn't, but I've done it now, so conscience is clear. So that is it. Yeah, I thank the people that have bought me a coffee. If you want to, you can go to codeshare.co.uk/coffee, and I'd really appreciate it, but there's no obligation to. You know, and please, even just sharing the videos is good anyway. If you share or like or comment, subscribe to the channel if you want to watch the more videos coming up. We're not done with this series yet. We're still building up, and we're doing more of the easier things to do or easier concepts to take in first. Then we'll go on to other classes and dependency injection and hooking into events and all sorts of things like that. I'll build it up as we go along. So yeah, please continue with me on this journey of building this site. So I hope you like it, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.